mesh. So data mesh is an analytical data architecture
Mhm.
and operating model where data is treated as a product and owned by team that intimately known and consume the data.
Hi, Abhishek. Welcome back to the IT Global Direction. My name is Rorisang Hlahatsi-Baloyi, as you know, and I'll be your host for today. Abhishek, please reintroduce yourself, who you are, where are you in the world, and what is the topic for today?
Again, thank you so much, Rory, for having me. It's always lovely talking to you. Uh, I'm Abhishek Dewangan, based out in Oslo. I'm living here from last 4 years, and like I mentioned in my previous videos, that I'm IT professional, working in IT from last 13 years, and from last 8 to 9 years, I'm living in abroad, and I have a lot of international experience. This is my eighth country I'm living in, and yeah, I'm living here with my family. So yeah, enjoying nice weather over here in Norway. It's winter and a lot of snow here. The topic wise, we are going to talk today the data mesh and how the data mesh can help to be a data-driven organization for any organization. Yeah.
Okay. And Abhishek, what is data mesh?
Okay, before I'll tell you the definition of data mesh, I would like to take you to a little bit journey of the data, right?
Okay.
So i- i- if I correlate correctly, in 4 decades ago, we were talking about the data warehousing system.
Yeah.
And then 2 decades ago, we started talking about the data platform, right?
Mhm.
And then the cloud came into picture, and then we were talking about cloud data platform.
Mhm.
And but in from 2020, when the Zamak Degani, she's the data mesh framework writer or founder, I would say. She
Okay.
wrote these best practices. So from 2020, the data mesh is quite very uh, very famous for the data-driven organization.
Mhm.
And when it comes to what is data mesh, so data mesh is an analytical data architecture
Mhm.
and operating model where data is treated as a product and owned by team that intimately known and consume the data. So
Okay.
this is the definition, but if I'll try to easy for everybody, it is
Yeah.
like that there is a two approach to handle the data. One is a lakehouse approach where we are loading the data or storing the data in one common repository and then using for different purpose like AI, machine learning, data science, and many others. Whereas data mesh is a decentralized approach. So we are creating a data as a product for
Mhm.
different business unit. For example, if you're part of the sales, I'm part of the marketing. You have your own data as a product. I have my own data as a product, but our product can talk to each other. So there is no silos.
Mm.
Apart from that, we also have the organizational governance and the centralized services, which is very common for whole organization. And that is a part of also a data mesh as a governance.
Okay. And Abhishek, how is this different from data factories? Because from my little knowledge about it, so you would have data lakes, and then from data lakes, each department can have data factories that are specific to those departments. And we can have shared governance, data governance for the entire organization, but have different data factories for different departments. So how is data mesh different from this, from data factories?
Great point and a great question. I would like to segregate that. So data factory is a service, I would say, right? And data mesh is the methodology or framework. So you
Oh,
can design your data as a product by using this methodology or framework, whereas you can use Azure Data Factory to build or to design the data mesh framework.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So for example, if we are working in the same business unit and you need a data for sales, I need a data for marketing, we
Mm-hmm.
can use Azure Data Factory or Data Factory, where the pipelines can give you your data, which is sales, and can give you my data, which is for marketing. But we have different ownership. So you own sales data, I own marketing data. So
Mm-hmm.
you will be cost for the sales data, I will be cost for the marketing data, right? So
Mm-hmm.
actually, data mesh is addressing two of the important challenge. One is data ownership. So centralized IT team will not own your all the data. It will
Yeah.
be the data owners. They should own the data. And second one is the costing of this infrastructure, data services, and the data product. So
Mm-hmm.
in traditional world, is central IT team is paying for all the data they are managing. Doesn't matter if that data is relevant for them or not.
Mm-hmm.
So the data mesh is an approach where you will be owner of your data and you will pay for it. I'll be owner of my data, I'll pay for it. And we have the data ownership plus the cost ownership, which was not addressed in traditional data warehousing and centralized data approach.
Yeah, and with the data mesh concept, how do we pay for shared data? So, for example, in many organizations, you would find that a client personal information is used by everyone in the organization, but maybe
Mhm.
there are specific things that finance would need and marketing would need. But when it comes to core data like name, surname, any data like that would be shared by different departments. So how does the data mesh concept work with that kind of data?
Yeah, again, great question. So the approach you're talking about, where we have all the data at one place and then different users can, or different department for different purpose, they can access that data.
Mm.
Whereas data mesh is a bringing a concept where you we are not going to store everything at one central location. The data
Oh.
you need, the data you need, it will be part of your, I would say, data storage, and the data I need, that will be part of my data storage. Your data storage could be different, my data storage could be different. So that is a service level, what service you need, or what the databases, what storage layer you will use. That is totally
Mm.
depends on you. But the important thing is taking the ownership, understanding the cost, and
Mm.
also having the transparency of the cost within the organization. Right?
Mm.
So this data mesh is bringing this kind of visibility, and it's also empowering the organization. For
Mm.
example, let's take up example of the power and utility sector, because we have this different situation right now. There is war is going on in between Russia and Ukraine. The energy prices are going high. The gas prices are going high, and which is
Mm.
impacting every one of us, right?
Yeah.
So, so if if we are working in power and utility sector, you are managing the energy management system, for example, and
Yeah.
I'm managing the energy generation system, where we
Mm.
have the hydro plant, where we have the renewable energy, right? But
Mm.
probably to predict how much we have to produce so we can meet the demand and how to say, like the uh, requirement and
Supply
demand
demand.
basis.
Yeah.
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 So for that, we have to mingle the data you have and data I have, right? And we have to then create a different 360 view of the generation versus the demand part. So we
Yeah.
can serve our customer better ways. This is a total. This will be totally powered by data. So
Mm.
that's why data mesh helping the organization to be a data-driven organization, and
Mm.
with the data, they are taking the right action and right
Yeah.
decision actually. Yeah.
I mean, isn't this concept costly? Because I'm just thinking if I own my data in marketing and another person owns their data in finance, it means that we need to store it in different places. Isn't it costly for organization because of the new concept of pay per use and all of that? Isn't this concept a bit more costly now?
No, and this is a confusion, and I would like to address it. So,
Mm,
uh, this, so for example, if you store 10 TB of the data in one data layer or one storage, right? You will pay for the data you are storing, for example, 10 TB.
yes.
Whereas you are using the five different storage and you're using 2 TB. So if you cumulate everything with the 10 TB and 5 plus 2 2 times 5 TB, right? Then the size was they are same, but the organizational wise is different. And that is I mean, it's a beauty of cloud that the data you are storing, you will pay for that one only. So it doesn't
Yeah,
matter if you save the data at one place or if you save the data in five places.
yeah,
So the cost wise, it will not create a lot of overhead, I would say.
yeah. I'm just looking at it from an organization perspective, Abby. So in an organization, even though I'm in marketing and another person is in finance and another one is in the legal team, etc.,
Mhm.
um, there are some similarities in data, and for an organization to be more aligned and be able to have an aligned strategy, I think data, we can't work with data in isolation. So it sounds like Data Mesh says that now I need to decentralize everything and have my own data, even though there are some parameters that may link with the finance team if I'm in marketing. So that's just maybe where you can clarify how do we ensure that the organization is still aligned, even though the data is decentralized.
Yeah, and there is a confusion that if we are decentralizing the data we will create these silos, right? With the
Mm,
data mesh approach, we are not going to do that. So your when we create a decentralized system and we create a separate data as a product, right?
mm,
Still, our systems are talking to each other. Our systems are connected to each other. So
okay,
whenever you need data from sales, marketing, finance, you can just by one click you can gather data and create an actionable insight on top of it. So
okay,
it is not restricting you because they are well connected.
okay, all right. No, that makes
And
sense. Mhm.
yeah, and I want to also touch upon the one of the principle of data domain is data mesh is a domain level architecture, right? That means we create the domains for different purpose. One domain, like I said, one domain could be for sales, one domain called for marketing, one domain for finance, and it could be this way also. For example, if there is a group of company and they have sister companies, and if they have merger and acquisition, they're adding a new company. In
Mhm.
that way, for example, we have one parent company is a one domain, and then other company is a other domain. They can keep the data in separate domains, and they
Mhm.
can exchange the data whenever they need. But there will be one central governance body, I would say. When I say body, that means I'm talking about one central location where
Yeah.
governing everything when it comes to data governance, data security, and data insight to
Mm.
understand what data we have and what we don't have.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right. Yeah, no, that actually makes sense because my concern was that separating everything, but it looks like as much as you are separating according to domains, the governance layer is still covering everyone, and there is some level of data sharing as well, or linking different domains.
yeah.
Abhishek, I think that was a great conversation. Do you have any additions or things that you think our viewers need to know? And maybe what technologies do we use in order for us to have this data mesh concept?
And that's the beauty of data mesh is the technology you can choose according to your business requirement, right?
Okay.
Let's take example of if we are in the cloud, you can use machine learning services for one domain, AI services for another domain, maybe machine learning and AI in one domain. There is analytical data warehousing solutions, for example, Azure Synapse, for example, Databricks, that could be part of your analytics. Like we were talking about the citizen developer in our last video, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, Power Platform, Power BI could be part of another domain to empower the citizen developer. And if
Mm,
you see the broader picture, so I'm creating a one domain to empower data science, machine learning people, and the community. I'm empowering AI people with the data so they can create and train the model for the AI. And the third one is I am giving uh, access and empowering the citizen developers so they use their industry knowledge, they use their domain knowledge and create a, uh application and actionable insight for themselves actually.
mm.
Yes.
And Abhishek, you're raising another key point here. Is it best to segment these data mesh teams with data or with business structure? So with not data, but with technology or with business structure? Because I'm just thinking if we're gonna have data for the AI team and data for another technology capability team, instead of a business capability, I feel like we're going to have lots of teams working
Yeah.
on the same or different technologies. It just sounds a bit complex. What's your view in terms of operating model for this?
Yeah, and that will be always business unit wise or business outcome wise. So
Mm,
whatever business unit and outcome you want to achieve, that could be one domain.
okay.
But if you see the data mesh principle, there is a four principle. One is domain architecture. Second one is a data as a product. Third one is self-service. That means you have the data, you are creating a data fabric which can be used by whole organization to empower their data scientists, machine learning experts, AI experts, and the citizen developers, right? And the last one is so we talked about BU specific, so we can create the
Yeah,
domain for BU. We
yeah.
talked about the domain, we talked about data as a product, and then we talked about self-service, and the last one is a federated governance, right? And
Mm,
that we already covered that. Anything we are building in data mesh approach,
mhm,
that will be covered by holistic governance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Abby, thank you so much. I think I'll try and summarize everything we discussed today. The
Hmm.
concept of data mesh sounds very interesting and slightly unique from what we've been using in the past. So you mentioned that from a data mesh concept, we look at having separate domains, however, governance overlaying those
Mm.
different domains, right? You also indicated that the importance of having data mesh, where there'll be a bit of focus on data ownership. If you're in finance, you know you own that data, the cost that comes with that data, and everything is owned by the finance team.
Yeah.
Um, and then you also indicated the slight difference between where in the past would have a data lake and have data factories for different teams. But this one is not deviating from that concept, is now introducing a level and some level of ownership to the data,
Mm.
depending on the domain. So, Abby, if I missed out anything, please let me know. But I think I tried to cover everything, but do indicate if there's something that I missed out.
No, you is spot on. I just want to add one more thing is that data
Mm,
mesh is a, like I said, it's a framework, it's a methodology, right?
yeah.
Uh, and for many organizations who, especially those, they haven't started their data-driven organization journey. So
Mm,
it's a company culture change because going forward, every organization, those who are adopting data mesh or data-driven organization, they
mm,
see future with the data perspective. with the data lens. So I think people should be mindful that this comes with company culture and the data culture change, and people should be and organizations should be open for it actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, that's true. That's true. Because it is a culture shock where now I need to own and be responsible for all costs, even though maybe in some instances, data related costs are centralized and data is centralized as well. All right.
exactly.
I do enjoy your day in Norway today. Thank you so much for sharing all sorts of information that you shared today. I think it was really great and really informative. I learned quite a lot myself. Thank you, Abby. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. Yeah, great to be part of it. Thank you.
Yes, bye.